know that Maharaj is one of our GBCs, and Maharaj has been traveling a lot to Auckland, New Zealand, giving his association. So, Maharaj, thank you so much for joining us with us in today's program. For those who are not very familiar with Maharaj, just a quick intro about him. That in 1971, Maharaj first came in touch with the Krishna consciousness by one of his friends who gave him the Back to Godhead magazine. And the same friend also introduced Maharaj to some prasadam, which Maharaj really felt in love with. And since he joined ISKCON, and then in 1973, Maharaj took initiation from Srila Prabhupada. And till to date, Maharaj has been involved in many of the managerial tasks. One good thing that has been noted, there are many, but it is said that Maharaj has become known as someone who has always kept a positive attitude towards Krishna consciousness, showing a steady, determined example to other devotees in his personal practice in Krishna consciousness. So once again, let's welcome His Holiness Ramai Swami Maharaj. Maharaj, the floor is yours. Thank you, Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Can you hear me all right and see me all right?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Very wonderful to be with you all. I think that it looks like I see 28 devotees who are on the conference. So
it will be multiplied by 2 or 3, Maharaj, because we are in the family. So
oh, okay, yeah, because they have families. Anyway, so Krishna Chandra contacted me and wanted me to speak a little bit about Srila Prabhupada, and we had. I'm staying at New Govardhan during the COVID. We're in the lockdown here. And I think in Auckland there, you're also in the lockdown, isn't it correct? Still?
Yes, Maharaj. Yes.
Yeah, in the lockdown. So it is not a good situation as far as the COVID, but we're having our programs here, no problem. And we had a very nice Janmashtami. And also we had a very nice Srila Prabhupada Vyasa Puja. So Mukunda Maharaj is here also, and he spoke a little bit about the early days of Krishna consciousness and how he was there in the beginning and helped Prabhupada in New York and also in San Francisco and Los Angeles. So then I spoke a little bit. But as you all know, this is the 125th year of the anniversary of Srila Prabhupada, and he appeared, of course, in 1896. So now it's 2021, and so that makes 125 years. So I think last year or the year before, some devotees in India, especially in Calcutta and other places also, wanted to make 125, the 125th year special year. And so they formed a committee to think of ways to glorify Srila Prabhupada right throughout 2021. And you may have been reading that finally, after many years, ISKCON has purchased Prabhupada's birthplace. And that birthplace is in 63 Tollygunge Road in Calcutta. So we couldn't do for a long time because there were many tenants on that property and also owners of property. And so I think there was like 17 or 18 tenants. And so we wanted to buy that land and make a special memorial place there for Srila Prabhupada, being his place of birthplace. And so finally we negotiated something, but they wanted to be paid quite a large amount of money. They knew that the ISKCON was interested in buying that place, and so the tenants we had to pay quite a lot of money to all of them. so we could purchase their properties. And there was an appeal right around the world. The GBC contacted all the leaders and the different devotees, and donations were given to Calcutta, and also from India also. And they got also a loan to be able to pay the tenants of that property. And so they've all moved out, and construction has gone on. They've actually demolished all those old houses there. And so there's just land. They've constructed now a wall around, and they're putting in the, some of you may have seen this already on the link, but they're putting in there's two phases. One phase is to just put in a memorial structure and put Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet there, marble, white marble. And and so they've done that. And in fact, they've asked the Chief Minister of West Bengal to inaugurate, and she did that via the Zoom conference also. And they requested the West Bengal government, because nearby there, about 100 meters, is the old flow of the Ganga, but it was quite dirty and run down. So they've asked the West Bengal government to help to clean up that area of the Ganga, to make it all nice like it was when Prabhupada was there, when he was in his childhood. And so they agreed to do that. So they're cleaning up the Ganga there and paying for that, actually. And she made a speech, the Chief Minister made a speech on a couple of days ago. And so that's the first stage of, and also they had the idea of making this, you can buy these 125th memorial coin that the central government agreed, and the Prime Minister made an address. Narendra Modi made an address just also a couple of days ago, glorifying Prabhupada and glorifying ISKCON. So it's a very wonderful achievement. And I think that Prabhupada, of course, he traveled around the world, I think 11 times or something like that. And he spread the Krishna consciousness on the order of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But I think his stature, especially in India, has even grown when you have the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister and so many. The President also came to our opening of the Pune temple. I was there for that a few years ago. And so Prabhupada is becoming very well known now in India. And so where the Prime Minister came on. So I was just saying the other day at our Vyasa Puja here that, the glories and fame of Prabhupada. Of course, Prabhupada never wanted any glories or fame for himself. He always glorified his spiritual master and Krishna, especially. He didn't like to promote himself, but wherever he went, the fame, it is said for a very advanced devotee, fame automatically follows because Krishna is so pleased with that devotee. And so Prabhupada, being a very dear devotee of Lord Krishna, Krishna was very pleased with him. So when Prabhupada was present, he was known in different parts of the world. But even now he is known. And as I said, especially in India, his presence has grown that so many know. Big government people know, and many people know about Srila Prabhupada. So that's a very wonderful thing. And so these things, I think you can actually purchase those 125th coins from India. You can actually order them. So so they're doing many different functions through the year. I think that some other temples around the world are having some functions. I think even today in Auckland, where Krishna Chandra wanted me to speak a little bit about Prabhupada and the importance of Srila Prabhupada being the founder Acharya of ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And so his position, he will always occupy a very special position in our society, being the founder Acharya of our movement. So every day, of course, we have the Guru Puja, and of course, Vyasa Puja is a special day. We had this some of the ladies here made this wonderful cake, a birthday cake for Prabhupada. It was just covered tables, so big. And, and it had on the cake, they were able to put the icing, and they had in the icing, there was all Prabhupada's books, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, like Chaitanya Charitamrita. It was very a wonderful thing to see that when we were going to have the prasadam, that we saw on the cake all the Prabhupada's books on the top of the icing. So that was very wonderful. But I'd just like to read my offering to Prabhupada, for this year, if that's all right. And I start off with Pranam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasayatale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Sunyavari Paschachari Satarini. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, A.C. of Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at His lotus feet. Our respectful obeisances unto you, our spiritual master, servant of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami, you are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Dev and delivering the Western countries which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. And then I go on to further write, Srila Prabhupada, in your purport to Bhagavad Gita 4.15, you write, there are two classes of men. Some of them are full of polluted material things within their hearts, and some of them are materially free. Krishna consciousness is equally beneficial for both of these persons. Those who are full of dirty things can take to the line of Krishna consciousness for a gradual cleansing process, following the regulative principles of devotional service. Those who are already cleansed of the impurities may continue to act in the same Krishna consciousness so that others may follow their exemplary activities and thereby be benefited. That's the quote from the purport of Bhagavad Gita. And so then I write, I am very fortunate that Krishna consciousness is beneficial for both types of people, because I am definitely in the category of one with many polluted things in the heart. By your mercy, I've been engaged in the process of Krishna consciousness, and someday I may come to the level of being free from impurities. In fact, at my initiation, you said that all the new disciples should become pure as quickly as possible. Krishna is pavitram, pure, and to associate with him nicely, we should be of the same spiritual nature. I am still endeavoring, Srila Prabhupada, but sometimes I stumble. Please help me become 100% completely fixed in devotional service to the Lord. Help me stay on the path without my mind wandering to other places. As Lord Chaitanya says, let me taste the real nectar we are always hankering for. Here at New Govardhan, every Ekadasi, the devotees see and listen to your lectures on a screen in the temple room. How wonderful and powerful they are. Your words cut through mire like a hot knife through butter. How learned you are. You continually quote from many different shastras to emphasize your points in an authorized manner. How compassionate you are. Patiently you explain everything clearly in a constructive way to uplift people to the transcendent position. If I could possess 1/10,000th of your qualities, I'm sure I would advance rapidly in my Krishna consciousness, but I know I do not even have that many. For me, advancement is slow. However, I have faith that if I hold onto your lotus feet and associate nicely with devotees in ISKCON, ultimately I will go back home, back to Godhead. For being purified, I will get an opportunity to serve you and the Lord again in this material world. Either way will be perfection for me. And then I wrote a short poem for Prabhupada. His life of virtuous thought and deed, the lives of others did exceed. From whom but Prabhupada shall I hear those words that ever charm my ear? No one like Srila Prabhupada shall be a wonderful guiding light for me. He of high and noble mind, gentle, modest, meek and kind. Ignorant we were, just foolish youth. We clung to him for constant truth, yearning to stay by his holy side to hear instructions that were bona fide. Sacred texts he presented clear and pure, an offering that shall always endure. He was always ready to speak and give knowledge of where we eternally live. Devotional service with every limb, brilliantly taught and explained by him, Like a king with a powerful, wondrous bow, he drove away Maya and made us glow. He filled my soul with nectar so high, I began to feel bliss, though a fool was I. The more he gave, the more I drank. For this kind mercy, him I'll ever thank. Cyril Prabhupada is my only hope, without whom I could never cope. With suppliant hands and reverent head, I must always remember what he said. He is dearer to me than light and life. My existence before was only strife. Please, Prabhupada, always show the way to someone like me who goes astray. Your servant, Ramai, Swami. So that was my Vyasa Puja offering for 2021. Of course, every year the devotees are asked to write Vyasa Puja offerings, the GBCs and sannyasis, gurus, and temple leaders right around the world. So generally I've written many over the years. So I thought I'd read that. And I was saying that actually one of my god sisters reminded me of a story I told a long time ago. That one god brother of mine, Bhaktisiddhanta, came out and he was traveling all over the world interviewing Prabhupada disciples. Oh, this must have been 20 years ago now. And, or maybe more, just getting their remembrances. I think they're on the video. Some of you may have seen some of these videos with the Prabhupada disciples and their remembrances of Prabhupada. But she reminded me of something I said in the video that jogged my memory, and I'd just like to share it with you. In that, one time when Prabhupada came to Melbourne in 1974 for the Ratha Yatra. He came for Ratha Yatra there, and Madhavisa Prabhu, who was the GBC at the time, invited Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada accepted the invitation. Of course, he'd been coming to Australia since 1971. He came 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, and 76. And I think to Auckland, he came a few times. So I can't remember, 73, 70. I'm not sure how many times he came. I think 3 times he came to Auckland, or could be more. I'm not exactly sure. But so we were fortunate to, the first time Prabhupada came for the Ratha Yatra, and the devotees were working very hard in preparation, making the carts, fixing the carts. Sorry, is someone asking a question?
No, suddenly they went on mute, Maharaj. So
I went on mute?
No, the devotee. So you can continue, Maharaj.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, and in Melbourne in those days, we weren't in the current temple. We were in the temple before. We were just renting one building in a suburb of St Kilda and Burnett Street. But we were preparing the carts in another area, and the canopy for the cart, on the dome of the cart, there's that fabric, the canopy, and we had one little shop in the middle of the city in Melbourne, and there we in the front of that shop the devotees would sell spiritual sky incense and oils and soaps and different saris and kurtas and so on. But in the back there was a big area where we used to have Sunday feast programs there, and also the devotees during the week would do Sankirtan, book distribution and Harinam, and would come back to that shop for some lunch or dinner. And but this time the ladies were putting the finishing touches on the canopy. They were sewing and putting the finishing touches. And so myself and a godbrother, Yasamati Nandan, we were on the book distribution, and we had come back. But as we were coming back, we noticed that there was some smoke, and we saw a lot of people gathering near our shop. At first, we thought, oh, well, maybe there's a fire in our shop. But actually, it was about 3 shops up. And we saw flames and we saw smoke, and there were some people gathered around. But the fire brigade hadn't arrived yet, or the police hadn't arrived yet. It was just, and so there were some young girls who obviously they were working in that building, and they were up on the third floor, and and they were screaming out for help. They were saying that the fire is coming up the stairwell, and those old buildings, there were no other exits. You had to go out the stairwell. So they were up on the ledge of the window, calling out for help. And so there were, I think, 2 or 3 of them up there calling out, and the people were looking up. They were down the bottom in the street. We came there, and Yasa Matinana, he's a very quick thinker. So he went back to the shop and was saying to the devotee ladies there that there's some problem there. The girls are in the fire. So he said he was looking at the canopy. They were sewing on the canopy. He said, because they're very big, and he said, maybe we can use this and just stretch it and hold it and stretch it, and they can jump on the Ratha Yatra canopy from the building down on the canopy. So I was a bit skeptical. I said, I don't know if this is going to be more strong enough to hold. Maybe they'll just drop through. So then, then the ladies were saying, no, this is very, very strong material, very thick, very, very thick. So everyone, all the devotees, we took the big one, I think Lord Jagannath's canopy. We had the 3 chariots, but we took Lord Jagannath's canopy, and we took it in the street, and we got all the karmis were there too, and the devotees. So everyone, we stretched it out very tight, and pulled in all the directions. And we said, and Yasa was calling out, jump on this. And then he jumped on top of it and was jumping up and down and falling down and showing how strong it was. But the ladies were a bit hesitant, because it was a long way up. So they were very hesitant. But and after some time, one of the ladies did jump, and she jumped down and she landed on the Jagannath canopy, the fabric canopy, and she was all right. She landed. She landed there, and then another one jumped. But the third one, maybe she was the first one. She didn't want to do it, and somehow or other, she went back, and we found out later. We didn't know exactly what happened to her because we didn't see her coming. And but we found out later she had squeezed past the flames and then found a small window in the back and crawled out the window and worked her way along the ledge at the back and went to the next building. But that was very dangerous. But she chose that over jumping down on the canopy. She just didn't want to do it. But anyway, that was an amazing thing, and then that was reported to Srila Prabhupada that how the ladies and also then by that time the fire brigade had arrived, police and everything, and some reporters, some journalists had arrived, and by that evening had made many of the papers in Melbourne, and I think it made the Australian, which is a national paper. And so some of the titles read that Hare Krishna saved girls from burning building or burning inferno, like headlines like that. So Prabhupada was very, very happy, and he said that, that's wonderful, Lord Jagannath has saved them. And he said that he wanted to save the clips, the newspaper clippings, and he wanted to take them with him. So I remember that my god sister reminded me of that story. So I told it again here at our Vyasa Puja, and everyone was enjoyed hearing it. It's a very wonderful story. But when Prabhupada came that year to the Ratha Yatra, it was very, very wonderful. We went through the city and a very long route with the 3 chariots. And we had this idea, Churu, I think he was the temple president at the time, he had this on one of the temples, whether it was Los Angeles, one of the temples overseas had got a brass band to go in the front of the Ratha Yatra parade. And someone had written the sheet music to one of the Hare Krishna melodies so the brass band could just play it as they were going. And so we heard about that, and he thought that would be very good for this Ratha Yatra. And when I was young, I used to play in a brass band, so he knew that. So he asked me that. He said that why don't we find a brass band, with the trombones and the trumpets and the drums and everything, and they can march in front of the parade, from when Prabhupada comes. And so that's a very good idea. So we contacted Los Angeles, and we got the sheet music. We got the music score, so then they could play the Hare Krishna melody. And so they sent that, and we printed that out for the band. But we couldn't get a brass band for that particular day. They were all booked, and we just couldn't. We looked, and we just couldn't get any brass band. But we did find a bagpipe, a Scottish bagpipe band. Like, and I said to Drew that, oh, well, I've got a Scottish bag. I don't know if we want to use a Scottish bagpipe. He said, yeah, well, that might be all right, the Scottish bagpipe. Prabhupada, when he was young, he went to the Scottish college school. So we got them. We gave them the score. We gave them the sheet music, and they went in the front. That Jagannath chariot was there, and then the devotees and the kirtan and everything, and the Scottish bagpipe band. They went in the front. There were many of them. They were dressed also, in the Scottish kilts. The traditional Scottish kilts. They were dressed nicely, very, very wonderful looking. And Prabhupada, when he came in the parade, he was walking with the devotees, and he was in ecstasy. I saw it. He saw the Scottish bagpipe band, and he was beaming with it. He had a very big smile on his face, and he liked it. He said, "Yeah, yes, this is a very good. This is a festival. This is a parade. It should be like this." So I told that story. A very, very wonderful story. And so, I didn't have a lot of association with Srila Prabhupada. I wasn't like someone like Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who traveled with Prabhupada as his secretary, or others who traveled. Many of the early GBCs, they traveled with Prabhupada. Actually trained them. He wanted to train his GBCs how to oversee the functions of the movement. So at one stage, I do remember he called that each GBC should travel with him for 1 month. Every GBC should come and travel with him, and he would take the opportunity to train them in matters of philosophy and example, and also in the management. And so some of the early devotees, and also early devotees like Mukunda Maharaj and Sham Sundar and Malati and Govinda Dasi and all those early devotees, because the movement was very small, and there was only a few devotees, and Prabhupada was living in New York, and so they had a lot of association with Prabhupada. Later on, as the movement grew, there were many disciples, and Prabhupada was traveling a lot more, and so we were only got to see Prabhupada when he came. And I saw Prabhupada, of course, in Mayapur when I went to Mayapur, and also Vrindavan. So I didn't get a lot of association, but I do remember the times. I remember one time, because we were Sankirtan devotees, book distributors. And so we got a special opportunity to meet Prabhupada. Prabhupada had wanted to meet his book distributors. So we went to his place. This was, I think, the same year. And he wasn't living. The temple was quite small, just a rented building, and so he was living in a Grihasta's place nearby, a nearby suburb. And those Grihastas had moved out actually, and given Prabhupada the whole house. And so we went around there, and Prabhupada was talking to us about book distribution and how many books we were distributing, and he asked us if we were reading his books. He said, yes, you can sell the books, but it's very important for you to read the books also. So he was talking to us like that. But I always remember that he on the mantle shelf, he had all these jars of sweets, temple deity sweets. He had a jar of gulab jamuns and a jar of rasgullas and a jar of rasamalai and some burfi and so on. So he was after at the end he would he took the jars and he was throwing out the prasadam, and we were catching the gulab jamuns and catching the rasamalai and everything like that. So that was very wonderful. I remember, when I got initiated, the temple president said, "Well, now you have to give some dakshina." And of course, we were all new devotees, and we didn't even know what dakshina was. And so they said, "Well, you have to go and ask for donations so you can give an offering to your spiritual master on the occasion of initiation." So I just went around the area knocking on the doors of the karmis. All the disciples doing this, and I was dressed as a devotee, and I said that some of them wouldn't open the door, but many were quite nice. And I said, "I'm a Hare Krishna monk, and I'm taking initiation from my spiritual master, and one of the traditions is that we're asked to make an offering as a show of respect and appreciation to the Guru for getting the initiation. So if you can give anything, it would be appreciated." And so most of them were very kind. They came out and they gave different. Some gave fruit, some gave this, some gave the other thing. Some gave honeycomb. I remember one person gave. I heard Prabhupada liked honeycomb, so someone gave some honeycomb. And but another lady, she wanted to give some eggs. So I said, "No, thank you, but we don't take the eggs." And we're vegetarians also, so we don't accept the meat. So then we offered all the disciples offered that to Prabhupada. But another thing I remember, I can't remember which year this was, but Prabhupada very much liked the prasadam, and he liked the ghee, and he was told that Australia and New Zealand also has very nice ghee, very good high quality ghee. And he said, "Yes, I can understand from the prasadam that there's very nice ghee." And Madhavisa was telling him that yes, they produce. In the beginning, when we were first new devotees, we couldn't get ghee, and we didn't know where to get the ghee, so we would make our own ghee, and we made that from the unsalted butter. We'd buy unsalted butter, and we put so many blocks in the saucepan, in the pot. We put it in the pot, and we slowly boil it down, and then we'd scoop off the fat as it was heating up. And a very wonderful way to make ghee. The aroma, it smelt like gulab jam. It's actually so sweet and very wonderful ghee. But after some time, some devotees found out that you could buy big containers of ghee. And we were wondering why they made this, the dairy board. And actually, we found out that it was the biscuit companies at that time. I don't know if they still use it, but probably not. But at that time, the biscuit companies were using ghee to make biscuits, and they didn't call it ghee. They called it something butter. I forget what they called it, but they didn't call it ghee. They called it, but it was actually ghee. And so we used to buy them in big containers. And so Prabhupada said, "Yes, this ghee is very nice, and Australia and New Zealand can supply the whole world with ghee, especially in India. In India, it's not so easy to find very good quality ghee. So you should bring some ghee. Then when you come to Mayapur next, you should bring some ghee to Mayapur." And so and in those days, when we went to Mayapur and Vrindavan during the Gopurnim festival, all the devotees would go together just to save costs. And also, if you bought a lot of tickets, the airline would give maybe one or two free. So in those days, the Sydney temple, the Melbourne temple, all the temples, all the devotees would go together and meet up on one flight. And so we organized that we take these big, I think they were 8 kilos or something, 8 kilos containers of ghee, and the brahmacharis would walk it on the plane. We didn't even want to pay to put it in the luggage. It was cost too much to pay. So then the temple president said that we have to walk in such a way as to, and they were a little bit camouflaged, those things, make it look like luggage. And so, walk in such a way so it doesn't look heavy. And in those days, they didn't used to check so much what luggage weighed. Now, of course, they weigh everything, but in those days, they didn't care so much. The planes weren't so full, and so the brahmacharis were walking on, one in each arm, right on the plane with the ghee. And then we arrived in India, in Calcutta, and then we went out to Mayapur, and Prabhupada asked that all the ghee to bring to his room. If you've been to Mayapur, you've seen Prabhupada's room in Mayapur. There in the Lotus building on the first floor. Prabhupada has his room there, and that was his room. So he asked all the devotees to bring the ghee right into his room. And so all the brahmacharis did with all this ghee. I think we probably had 100 containers. There was 8 kilos, 8-kilo containers. And so we probably had about 100 containers. In those days, there was a lot of brahmacharis. And so we brought in, and he asked us to stack in the corner, and one on top of the other. And so we stacked it in the corner, and then we sat down and paid our obeisance to Prabhupada. And he was beaming again, a big smile on his face. And then someone asked him, Prabhupada, what are you going to do with this ghee? You're going to distribute to all the temples in India? And Prabhupada said, no, I will sell it to all the temples in India. He said, I will sell it to all the temples. And he said, and then we can use the money here in Mayapur to do the construction. So that was another wonderful story that I remember with Prabhupada. But there's so many incidents I can remember with Prabhupada. It was always, now Prabhupada, he was like, as far as age, he was like our grandfather age, because we were all young, in the early days, early 20s or something like that. We were all young, some teenagers still, and some early 20s. Maybe a few were a little bit older, but basically we were very young. So Prabhupada was already, he was, he would have been, when he first came to Australia, he was already in his 70s. So he's like grandfather age, but he acted more like a father, because he was very involved. Grandfather occasionally sees the grandchildren and so on. But Prabhupada saw his disciples quite regularly and gave a lot of instruction to his disciples through letters. Many of you have seen the letters that Prabhupada sent, and through his books, of course, and through different conversations, and by personally going to the temples and having darshan. Prabhupada generally would have open darshan, unless he was giving some big program in the afternoon or in the evening or something like that. But you could go in for darshan, especially in India. Prabhupada would like to give darshan. I remember I was in Mumbai, Juhu Beach, and every afternoon Prabhupada, this is after the Gurpurnim festival, we all went over to Juhu Beach Temple, and Prabhupada was there. And so we were all staying there with Prabhupada. And every afternoon he would have darshan. So I remember going in every afternoon. It was quite a relaxed atmosphere. There wasn't so many devotees. And we would go and have darshan, and Prabhupada would speak about different topics. And I remember one time some Western boy had come in, and he met the devotees in the street somewhere in Mumbai, and they invited him back to meet Prabhupada. So he came into a darshan, and then after a while he started asking questions, and then he made a comment about. He said something like, "I think that actually the civilization was started by the aliens, just like in Egypt, the pyramids and all these different things like that. And actually, I think that the aliens came, and they were the ones that did all these things, and so we're descendants from the aliens." So Prabhupada let him speak for a little while, and then he just interrupted, and he said, these are all nonsense things. Nonsense. This is just, you think this and you think that, and you think you have to take your knowledge from the authorized source. And then Prabhupada began to speak about the authorized source of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and from great authorized personalities like the Acharyas and the Supreme Personality of God, and he's represented, and Lord Brahma, and a disciplic succession. And in this way, your knowledge is sound knowledge, is solid knowledge. I also remember another time in Melbourne when someone, disciple, came in and was talking about the Essene gospel, a kind of forgotten gospel of the Christian teaching. And he came and said, Prabhupada, in this Essene gospel, we have, there's mention of the reincarnation and the reincarnation. So, it's very good that how Jesus was promoting the reincarnation. So what do you think about this? Do you think we can use this as an example to when we're preaching to the Christians, we can refer to this? And Prabhupada said that, well, maybe it's true and maybe it's not true. He said, we go by the authority of the authorized shastras such as Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And so this is the solid ground. He said that when you bring in other so-called scriptures and other interpretations and translations, it may be true, maybe not true. So it is he said, it's very shaky ground, very, very shaky ground. So when we present things, we just present it on the basis of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Then we're on the solid ground. Then we can preach very strongly and very confidently. So Prabhupada was very bold in his presentation, but he was always humble, and he never liked to seek praise for himself. He would always glorify Krishna. He would glorify his spiritual master, and he very much, as I said, he was very much like a father in that he just looked at, he taught us everything, not only in philosophy, but just in culture, how to live in the mode of goodness, how to clean the temple nicely, and how to even cook, how to cook for the deities. He personally would cook himself. He would show the devotees personally how to dress the deities, how to do the arti, practically everything, in Krishna consciousness, just like a father would teach his son and daughter how to, give them information about how to live in the world. And so Prabhupada gave us how to live in the world in the mode of goodness, and at the same time gave us the spiritual knowledge. So we're always indebted to Srila Prabhupada, and I constantly get inspiration by thinking of Prabhupada and trying to hearing Prabhupada's lectures. As I said in my Vyasa Puja homage, New Govardhan here, every Ekadasi we put on a Prabhupada video on a screen in the temple, and a lot of the devotees come for that, just listen to Prabhupada giving a lecture, and at the end questions are asked and the senior devotees answer the questions. So it's very wonderful to get that association. And so this year is very special, being the 125th year. And so if we can do different activities to remember Prabhupada, having these types of conference classes and whatever else we can think of, I think it's a very good opportunity. And one will be enriched by this type of activity. So Hare Krishna, thank you very much. I thought I'd leave some time if the devotees want to make some comments or ask some questions. I didn't want to go too long. Normally I don't even go this long, but so does anyone want to ask any questions at all? And make a comment.
Thank you so much. So Nanraj, over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj, for giving such a wonderful insight on Srila Prabhupada's early activities. It's so wonderful to hear. So thank you for sharing this. Just on this comment you made about Prabhupada said we should be on solid ground using Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and don't need to refer to some outside sources. We are of doubtful cases. So But these days, the devotees are also, referencing so many other scriptures and other sources. So sometimes they are a bit contradictory and can be confusing. So how should we deal with this?
Well, we have to be very careful. We reference outside, so just like in medicine and engineering and architecture. When we want to build something, we go to the experts, just on the mundane level. Other shastras, I think we have to be very careful there, because whether or not it's factual, sometimes things are interpreted in a speculative way. I've been hearing from the disciples of Indradumna Swami how he's there in Vrindavan, and he's in that Vrindavan Institute with all those different ancient shastras, and he's finding out so many stories that are in those shastras, and he's cross-referencing them with other shastras. And he's not only he, but he's got his disciples doing that. And so it's very important to try to authenticate that what we're saying is actually authentic and not speculative. Otherwise, we say something and then someone else repeats it and maybe changes it a little bit, and then the next person. By the time the 10th person or 15th person hears it, then it's a totally different matter. Even I remember, even with Prabhupada, he used to sometimes question, I remember one time Prabhupada, one devotee told me that you said such and such, and the Prabhupada said, "Oh, I said such and such." He said, I never said such and such. he is just making it up. But sometimes devotees, they just make up things. And one brother told me a nice story. He said that one disciple went to Prabhupada and said, "Prabhupada, I had a dream where you came and told me to do this and that and the other." And Prabhupada said that, "No, I never said that." I never said that. I think maybe that was a Buddha who came and told you and said that. He said, "But I never said that." So sometimes we make up things, or we think, but we don't know exactly, and so we should be very careful, very cautious. Other shastras or whatever it is, even what the Guru has said. Try to maintain that chastity to the actual authentic reference for what you're speaking about. Does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Yeah, yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? Nice to see everyone. We can see many Hare Krishna Prabhus. Govinda Harival. How are you? Nalini Kanta, I see there. And how are you all there? Everyone's good? Are you able to go to the temple at all? Now, but I guess because you're in lockdown, huh? You can't even go to the temple. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a lockdown here.
But I read somewhere that they may be coming to an end soon.
Well, Auckland, we are in level 4, whereas other countries, they're in level 3.
All right.
Number has decreased today as well. It's around 20. So next week, by Monday, Tuesday, we'll know which level we will be in. And then that's where things will fold.
Right, I see. But you've been very lucky there, I think, in New Zealand, that you haven't had much of a situation. And I don't think that the lockdowns have been so many, just a few compared to, here in Sydney now, they're going into their 3rd month of lockdown. And Melbourne has had, since the beginning of the COVID, they've had 7 months of lockdown.
Yes, when we compare that, then we are very lucky, Maharaj. Yes.
Yeah, 7 months, and it looks like they're going a little bit longer too. But anyway, as far as we're concerned in the Krishna consciousness, we make our own decisions about what we want to do as far as COVID. But at the same time, we have our Krishna consciousness, we have association with devotees. It's nice that we're having these types of things, conference classes. And I think a lot of things are offered online now that devotees can hook into. And many of the gurus are going online. So we're able to associate with one another. Krishna gives us the intelligence to think of so many different ways. And Vaisheshekar, who's the Minister for Book Distribution, told us that not this year, well, it's coming up, but last year, when the COVID first began, they increased their book distribution. The number of books sold around the world was increased from the previous year. And he gave a report to the GBC that how they were able to do in this way and in that way, in so many different ways. They're able to increase the book distribution through online, making appointments and making online sales and all sorts of things like that. So Hare Krishna. Any final question or comment? No? All right.
All right. Conclude.
Thank you, Bruce. Can I look forward to having your association again in the future, and look forward to that. Who knows when I can come and visit you all at the Auckland Temple and come for some home programs, as I usually do when I come to Auckland.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna
Maharaj.
Maharaj. All glories to Prabhupada.
All glories to
Swami
Srila
Maharaj ki
Prabhupada.
jai. Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hi.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
So, Maharaj, do you want to take over?
Now, you do the presentation for the book distribution. You and Bhavasindhi Mataji. Yes, explain to.
Okay, so Hare Krishna, everyone. So we've got Bhavasandhi Mataji, and she would like to do a small presentation about the Bhadra Purnim, which is coming on the 21st of September. Yesterday, we did circulate a video, which was a promotional video done by Bhavasandhi Mataji. So Bhavasandhi Mataji, you can take over.
Hare Krishna. I'm just working out how to share my screen a second. Can people see my screen that I've shared?
No, Mataji.
Can you see it now?
It's beginning.
Starting. Yes.
Yes, now you can see it.
Yeah, see Shri Prabhupada. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's so nice. Maharaj was just finishing the class and talking about Srila Prabhupada's desire for book distribution. So I just wanted to mention a little bit, about how dear this was to Srila Prabhupada. And I was hearing the other day how when Srila Prabhupada was about to go to the West, somebody said to him, "So you're going to the West?" And he said, "No, Srimad Bhagavatam is going to the West and I'm going with him." So distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam was so dear to Srila Prabhupada. He wanted it distributed widely. In fact, he wanted it in every home to have a complete set of his books in there. So at the moment, we're really trying to raise awareness for Bhadra Purnim. It's a very auspicious time to take Srimad Bhagavatam into your home. Of course, any time is an auspicious time. It's taking Krishna himself into your home. So we just wanted to highlight and raise awareness of this. I just wanted to show here, that people are really looking for Srimad Bhagavatam either directly or indirectly. Like the other day, there was man from Gisborne. He wrote to every single Hare Krishna place in New Zealand that he could find, saying, "Do you have a full set of Srimad Bhagavatam?" Munjarani, she was the first one to respond to him. And she said, "How are you inquiring about this? How did you know?" And he said, "Oh, my ex-girlfriend, she gave me this book." He said, "Oh, it's the only worthwhile thing she's ever done in her life. We had this terrible relationship. We've broken up. I'm completely devastated. I hate my life. And then she gave me this book. It was the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and he read it, and he said, as soon as I started reading this, my life was just transformed. And I thought, you know, this knowledge, everyone in the world needs this knowledge. This has to be taught in schools. It has to be in every institution. This is what the world needs. And so then he was like, he came to the end of the book. He's like, wow, this is, you know, the first part. I need the whole of this volume. So he wrote to every single Hare Krishna place in New Zealand and ordered his complete set of Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's going to be posted to Gisborne. So that really highlighted to me how like people are really searching for this knowledge, and when they find it, you know, some people it just completely instantly transforms their lives, and other people they're indirectly looking for Srimad Bhagavatam, and for them to, you know, they're just searching for the answers to life's questions. There's so much confusion and suffering in the world today, but when they come across Srila Prabhupada's books, then that actually is such an act of compassion. It gives them the means and the ability to come out of that situation that they're in. Otherwise, you just can't fix these problems with material solutions. It just goes round and around. So yeah, I was just thinking how we can really get this promotion for Srimad Bhagavatam out there, because even I've met devotees before that don't have Srimad Bhagavatam in their house, or have been looking for Srimad Bhagavatam and don't know how to get it. So we just assume that everybody has it, everyone knows about it. But some people are still looking for it. So I was thinking that together as a group we can get that knowledge out there. So if we don't have Bhagavatam in our home already, then it's definitely a good time to get it ourselves. And if we do already, then it's a really good time to become an ambassador for Srimad Bhagavatam. Especially during the lockdown, it's a really good time to make contact with our people that we know. So this can either be, phoning directly, and like Krishna Chandra Prabhu was saying, we have this short promotional video. So we can share that over WhatsApp with them. We can discuss about Srimad Bhagavatam. We can we can just share our realizations. So to do that, of course, we have to have realizations about Srimad Bhagavatam. So one of the first laws of book distribution is that, our sadhana must be strong. We can't just, repeat things. We have to actually experience Krishna in our lives as well. So when we experience Srimad Bhagavatam, we have that overflow. We can share that sincerely with people according to our realizations, and then it has real potency with people. So it's so nice that we're having these Zoom sanghas in the evening. So we're hearing about Srila Prabhupada, gaining that appreciation, more and more through this association. And also when we're talking to people, we can put them in contact with these Zoom classes as well. Like after this one, we're going to have a Radhastami program, and then we'll have some more programs about Srimad Bhagavatam. So we can really try and promote this with people that we're influenced and have influence on. So this is the new copies of Bhagavatam that we're just waiting upon. Due to COVID, there's a little bit of a lapse, but we have these beautiful copies that people are ordering. I'll just show the second. I can't get out of this a second. I was just going to show the promotional video that we have.
Hare Krishna. Coming up very soon is the auspicious day of Vajra Purnima on the 21st of September. Recently, we celebrated Janmashtami, and that same Lord Shri Krishna comes as the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Purana. Srila Vyasadeva explained that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedic literature. We may have heard of the Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna explains to Arjuna philosophy. That same philosophy comes to life in the pastimes of Srimad Bhagavatam, with Krishna and his incarnations and his devotees. Children love hearing the pastimes, like Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj Krishna, and the pictures are very beautiful. By hearing these wonderful pastimes, one's heart becomes satisfied. I can say for myself, every day when I open the books and start reading, there's an instant change in my consciousness, and I feel peaceful, even fearless, and understand my purpose in life. Very, very powerful. So on that note, if you take a full set of Srimad Bhagavatam into your home, you will be preserving Vedic literature, Vedic knowledge, and investing in your family's spiritual life. You can gift a set to friends and family, or sponsor a set for us to place on your behalf. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, the 12th canto, chapter 13, verse 13. If on the full moon day of the month of Vajra, one places Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne and gives it as a gift, he will attain the supreme transcendental destination. Isn't that wonderful? Also, anyone who sponsors, purchases, or receives a full set of Srimad Bhagavatam will get their names offered in a yajna on the day of Vajra Purnima. So please text or call today to reserve your set. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So this is the video that we're showing to people at the moment, and already devotees have started to share it. So you can share it from the Hare Krishna Auckland Facebook page, and some people have been a little bit creative about who they're sharing it with as well. So somebody, I'm not sure who it was, shared it with like Auckland Hindu Association. So any pages that you're part of, you can share it on that and really try and get this message out there. So also, as well as people purchasing it for themselves, as we said on there, people can gift it to friends, and also people are sponsoring as well. So this is something that we're really trying to do this year. Like we're collecting sponsorships. We've got quite a few already, and we'll be placing those books in public places such as libraries, prison libraries. We were doing a bit of work this year. We got a lot of Bhagavad Gitas into prisons, and previously last year into hospitals as well. So we're also just investigating public places that we can put full sets of Srimad Bhagavatam in. So also, if anybody would like to help with that, if they have any contacts that they can connect us with, if they have any ideas of places that would benefit from having Srimad Bhagavatam, then please contact us, and we can see if we can arrange sets for those places. So yeah, there's so many exciting things that we can do to be part of this Bhadra Purnima this year, and if we work as a team, I think we can really get Srila Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam out there. So we can either take it for ourselves, we can encourage friends to take it for themselves, or to gift or sponsor, and we can also share the posts and promotions. And if you have any other ideas, please don't hesitate to connect, and because everybody's got different different abilities and ideas. So the more we come together, the greater we can expand this. Also, one of the things that people really love to be part of is if there's going to be a yagya as well. So BBT has organized a yagya this year. On there it says the 20th because it's the 20th in the United States on the day of Bhadra Purnima. So that will actually be for us. That'll be Bhadra Purnima itself here is the 21st. So 2:00 on the 21st in New Zealand, there is going to be a yagya in Naimisharanya. So anybody who has purchased a set, is gifting a set, has received a set or is sponsoring a set, their names will be going in for this yagya in Naimisharanya on the day of Bhadra Purnima. So because there's a little bit of a time pressure with this, we really want to get the names in for that yagya in time. So if anybody wants to have their names on from that, we're just asking people to pre-order their sets, and we can the cutoff date for getting a name in for the Bhadra Purnima yagya in Naimisharanya will be Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance day, which is 2 weeks time, so 2 Sundays time. So we need to get everybody's names in for that.
And then also here in Auckland, we're going to be having a wonderful build up to Bhadrapranim. And then on the day of Bhadrapranim itself, in the evening, we're going to be having a yagya at our own Sri Sri Radhagiridhari Mandir. So that's something that people always want to be part of, for the benefit of their family. And especially people like to sponsor sets on behalf of departed souls, for family members. They really want people to get the benefit for that. So that's also something we can do for them. So due to COVID and the situations that arises from that, we'll be having this as a virtual yagya. We'll be doing that on Zoom, and then later on, once things have calmed down a little bit, we'll also have a nice presentation at the temple and distribute some sets from there as well. So if you've got any questions, please contact Christian Chandra or myself. If you've got any ideas how we can move forward with that, please let us know. And that's all for me. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Nanda Prabhu.
Okay, thank you, Bhavasati.